Hello and welcome to another small game Let's Play. This time we'll be playing England on Fire. It is made with Super Videotome. That's why that's up there. So click or space to advance. Click options to select. You can always choose to say nothing at all. Yeah, but it wouldn't make for a great Let's Play. Alright. Manchester, Arndale. Merry and bright. Oh, it's Christmas time, I guess. The familiar scent of the holiday season fills your lungs. It smells like winter chill, body warmth, cheap glitter, and 20% markups. You have gifts to buy, and like a fool, left it to the 21st to buy them. Like a fool you are every year. A fool in good company, however, the Arndale is as busy as it will ever be. Throngs of people in much the same situation as you. When you root through your pockets for your phone to remember what you need to get, something catches your eye as it looks down. A boy stands by your leg. He looks up to you like he's trying to get your attention. No extra layers to fend off the cold, and his parents nowhere to be found. But he doesn't seem distressed by this. Something about the glint in his eyes tells you he's excited by the lack of adult supervision. After a year-long second passes between you, he opens his mouth. Excuse me. Do you know where you are? I was about to say, I won't know, but I guess these are just different scales of answers. So the Arndale, Manchester, England. So I can say nothing to the boy. What if I just click on nothing? You stare at him, making sure you heard the question correctly. Do you? Do you know where you are? I'm very accidentally slipping into British accent for that. Or Cockney-ish. Let's say the Arndale. He gazes off behind your ear, presumably up to the sign behind you. Did you know? Arndale's used to be a chain. This was hardly the only one. They came from a want to Americanize our flavor of capitalism, to pull back what we'd pushed out into the oceans. So American, they called themselves malls instead of shopping centers. The public couldn't accept that, however. Soon they were simply renamed shopping centers, taking the name of the towns, suffocating them. He gazes beyond your ear again. And now, this is one of the last to hold the name. He rocks back and forth, with arms behind his back, whistling a tune you recognize but can't quite place. This is a waste of time. He's a child trying to scare you, and you have things to get done. You turn to enter the shopping center. And then, you're met with the silence. The kind that greets you after snowfall. But the ground around you is only sodden by rain. The kind that feels like a state itself, rather than a lack of sound. There's no one else around. You want to say they've disappeared, but there was no evidence they were ever here. Down there, still by your feet, the boy stands. He whistles. You seem surprised. Do you not recognize England? Does she really look so different in a mirror? You'll find your true home eventually. You might not even remember all the steps that took you there. You just need to move forward. Then he spins on a heel and walks away. Well, we gotta follow. You go after him. The sound as you hit the stairs is impossibly loud, almost hurting your ears, no longer dampened by the ambient noise of idle chatter. It only takes a short while to catch up to him. The boy turns his head, but doesn't look at you. England is mad. You've done well in embracing it. I've heard everything from your side. Screaming, crying, weeping, and gnashing of teeth. His gait is interrupted briefly as he hops over a rock. You think better than to imitate him and step around it. One England dreams of the other. In moments of madness, the dreams collide. This is how Albion survives. You dream of dragons and knights, naked dances at bonfires, and fair folk stealing your newborns. The other dreams of man-made rivers, tarmac plowing through hills, and indentured servitude to faceless identity. Which is madder? I'm not sure. I think that's for you to find out. You stumble a little as your foot hits grass, concrete, and cobble, leaving you behind. I was left in the space between by the gentry. I can only serve as a psychopomp between the two. You're not the first here, nor will you be the last. The boy stops, and you halt just before him. Beyond, a forest. You've barely noticed the city breaking away into endless vegetation, too focused on the boy's words to take it in fully. Here, buildings are reclaimed. Vines, tree roots burst through asphalt and swallow it in green. I can't help you anymore. I'm not allowed to go further than this. It's as I said before. You just need to move forward. He smiles at you. This time, it seems genuine. You should run. It's good for the passions. Take a long look at what lies ahead of you. Plants from home you all recognize, and the kind of England you'd see in a painting. The forest, as far as you can tell, is pitch black if you were to run far enough. By the time you look back, the boy is nowhere to be found. His instruction still lingers as you take a second look at the path ahead. Why would a mysterious child steer me wrong? Let's run. You're only able to take half a full breath before lunging into the forest ahead. Your gait is ugly, rash. You were always the last in PE, and the shame never left you. But you advance no matter what. The forest welcomes your spirit, and the vegetation parts for you. You trip over a wayward route, but nothing slows your advance. The wind starts to rip into your skin. Green and black starts to blend into white and red. Inhaling so deeply hurts your chest, but it's the most alive you've felt in years. Your eyes close, and the adrenaline claims you. Instruments are strewn about the floor of the room. String, brass, woodwind. What actually is song? When you think about it. Every time it's sung, it changes just a little. From purposeful edits, from human error. Do we change the song? Does the song change us? She picks up a recorder, the exact kind given to children in primary schools, and blows a shrill C sharp. Some around the country play Tig, others tag, others don't play the game at all. Isn't that the same for songs then? Which was the true one? The one that was the original? All or none? Huh, interesting options. I mean, none. There's no original. Yeah. None. No original at all? None of them? She bites her lip and frowns. Because nothing England makes can ever be correct, can it? It takes better ideas and corrupts them, makes them something its own. But it plundered the world for spices and decided none of them were good enough. She places the recorder back down. I'll play with these later, I think. I don't feel up to it. This is the prime she's allowed me, and I'll use every minute of it I have. The stage is a pavilion in the middle of an urban park, the city long left to be reclaimed by nature. The stage itself is in even worse disrepair. Roots have knotted around the edges and some parts have degraded into pitfalls. Below, it's thronged with audience, looking on in dazzled amusement. Somehow, a performer dances across the bumpy mess of a stage. But they know each bump like the back of their hand. They've gone through this routine innumerable times before. I don't care if I have to burn myself to the ground. This is all I have. This is all I have. The audience doesn't notice you or is so entranced by the movements that they can't. I have to do this. I have to. Oh, okay, I'm gonna tell this person to stop. Somehow, they shake their head while making no breaks in the routine. From a distance, you wouldn't have even noticed. No, you don't get it. I can't stop. Not now. They're looking at me. They want me to continue on. Why should I stop? This is what I'm meant to do for her, isn't it? You. I'm gonna go with you. For me, what I want to do, I want to perform, don't I? They start to consider this properly. Their movements start to slow. I want to. I do. I want to keep doing it. They stop mid-movement. I can't keep doing it for her. The crowd boos, but the noise soon drowns out into an ocean of meaningless noise. So now what? He sits in a dip in the ground, foliage growing around him. Mushrooms have sprouted around his feet. The grove is a quiet retreat from the rest of the world, and light dapples across your hands. Go away. You hadn't even announced your presence. You tried to move as quietly as you could over the fallen leaves. She doesn't love you, you know. England would sooner spit you out and discard your carcass after chewing whatever rinds left. Look at you. She'll find whatever little bit isn't English enough, and use that as the excuse. What are you getting out of trying to save her? Hope, change, or nothing? Change. Let's say change. At this, his shoulders relax ever so slightly. He turns a little, and you can just see his face. What kind of change? Steady or chaotic? Chaotic. Let's go chaotic. He turns more and begins to move his legs. His face is covered in half-bloomed daisies. The mushrooms are uprooted fully and his lips shift from a scowl for the first time in a quarter century. And you promise? You'll return England to her roots? The festivities are well underway. It took far longer than you'd like to admit to find the castle. Even longer to actually get here. The doorman insisted you wear a masquerade like everyone else. You carry it with a certain uncertainty. A hand grabs your shoulder and spins you around. Are you here for the grand finale, like the rest of us? Their voice defies any sense of gender. You can't tell if you're speaking to aristocrat or agrarian. They look at you up and down. At least it certainly feels like that, as you can't see their eyes. You're new here, aren't you? I'd sure hate to ruin the surprise for you, but I'll let you in on a little secret. The rest of the hall seems to quieten as they lean in and they whisper into your ear. It's Saturnalia. It's the night we've been waiting all our lives for. With a flick of their cloak, they've disappeared back into the crowd. Masks are replaced by masks. It's a festival you've never heard of. You can only wonder what happens during it. This is answered almost immediately as a man across the room screams. His mask has been ripped from his face. The music comes to a screeching halt. You recognize what he is almost immediately. He wreaks abject horror as he realizes he's face to face with peasants. Someone else slams him through the buffet table. Food from foreign lands flies through the air. The table splits in two. Wine and cheap beer coat the floor. At this, the call to arms is raised. The rich and the robbers are stripped of their protection. Their faces are lost and make the others pounce. Some instigators lose theirs in the brawl, but nothing stops their frenzy. It only seems to embolden it. You watch, incredulous. Suddenly, the pandemonium comes to a halt. Everyone in the hall is frozen, looking to something behind you. You turn to see what's commanding them. They stand on a pile of rubble, a leather mask half burnt. Their black cape is frayed at the edges and dances, despite there being no wind. In their left hand, held to the ceiling, is a fiery torch, burning with the intensity of every candle in the room combined. They throw it into the center of the hall. The instant it touches the ground, the fire branches and multiplies. Like water, it flows to envelop the floor and up the walls. This is the second break. The mania becomes even more intense, screeching, crying, the roar of flames. There's no way out. There were never any doors in. You start to lose yourself, running from fire to fire, is filling your mind with ideas you were never meant to face. You're suddenly inches from your teacher, landlord, MP, king. He snarls and shouts into your face. You do the only thing you can think of doing. You cup his head with your hands gently and stare into his eyes. Then you drag him down into the fire. And you laugh. There's no inhibitions left, only the madness of England as it burns itself to the ground. You're drowning him in the flames, the ash and smoke makes him suffocate. His skin melts and the skull beneath is charred by the heat. Then it spreads to you. It coils up your arms and eats through your flesh. It hurts too good for you to try and stop it. Burnt down to one, returning to one, as fertilizer for the new Albion that will... You alright, mate? An accent edged with the rich sweetness of honey pulls you back home. You look up. No fires to run to. The cold bite of December feels refreshing on your face. He stands over you, rubbing his chin. Didn't crack your head, did ya? Come on. The man grabs your arm and puts a hand behind your back. With a bit of your strength back, you both bring yourself to a stand. He makes sure you don't slip again before moving his hands away. Gotta be careful on dice. Takes you out with no warning. I'm so sorry for my accent, for my quote-unquote accents. Absolutely thank this man. He smiles. No worries, mate. The man leaves, disappearing into a crowd. You look around to get your bearings, guided by the glow of a trillion tacky fairy lights. The familiar scent of the holiday season fills your lungs again. It smells like a new year. You have gifts to buy, and like a fool, left it to the 21st to buy them. Like a fool you are. When's the last time you baked? Too long ago, far too long. But it's a skill that never leaves you. It took one press of the pastry to be transported back to your mother's side, chopping cherries. You pull the mince pies out of the oven, and wince a bit as the heat hits you. They look like shit. One of them exploded. But they taste good. They taste damn good. You're eating the exploded one, so everyone else gets the nicer ones. You wonder what Saturnalia here would taste like. In this England. Just as many ashes on your tongue, you think. A ritual cleansing before the island is left to fallow. Your fingers won't be the ones to strike the match. Diverse hands would set the flames, and you'd be to the side, feeding the tinder. You taste every fruit in the mince meat, rolling it across your tongue thoughtfully. Citrus wouldn't have been here a few hundred years ago. Saturnalia feels like forever away. It also feels like it's tomorrow. Maybe that's what the apocalypse is, a promised land we're throwing our lives towards, but never quite crossing the threshold into. England will persevere no matter what changes in the tide, no matter how much you think she's transformed. Transformation for good. Albion by a different name. At the very least, until then, you won't let her grow hungry. Ending 5, Acceptance. Immediately now wondering are the endings the stages of like bargaining, depression, the stages of grief? That's what I was trying to think of. If so, it would be funny if I went to the last one first. But I don't know if they're strictly chronological. But yeah, that seems to be it. I'm just double checking there's not a reset or credits or anything. No, so this was England on Fire by Stanwix Buster, described as a psychic map of Albion, inspired by the book of the same name, and made with Super Videotome. And that was a lot of fun. I definitely encourage, check this out, rate it if you enjoyed this. Also, there's 4 other endings you can go get and see. Unlike me, you could heed the note that you don't always have to pick a dialogue option, so you could check out what happens if you don't talk to these people all the time. But I will leave it here for this one. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.